Hey Jen, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you, Joanna?
I'm good too, thanks. So why don't we start with just telling us about what you do at Cooper?
Sure. I'm Jen Sant. I am a health and safety advisor for Cooper Equipment. My responsibility includes Southern Ontario, so our branches within that region, as well as head office.
Oh, that's awesome. So, as you know, it's Safety Month, and we want to focus on competency. That's the theme of this week's Safety Week. So, why don't you give us a little more information on what competency actually is?
So when we talk about competency, it's basically just the knowledge and the skill set that somebody has around any given subject. And that could be learned through training, through education, or just through past experience.
Okay. And why is it so important when it comes to the workplace?
So it's important for a few reasons. First of all, somebody's knowledge and experience allows them to know how to follow processes and procedures, not only so that they can be successful in a role, but also so that they know how to be safe. So,
Right.
For example, you would not want to get on an airplane knowing that the pilot has no experience and no training or skill set in flying.
Right. Yeah, no, that's completely true. You want to know that the person is experienced and knows what they're doing. So how can you kind of like evaluate competency in the workplace?
Yeah, so there's several ways that you could do that. So it would probably start with reviewing their past history. So looking at the training and education that they've had in the past. Also, their past work experience is a good indicator. So that can be done through things like resumes, job interviews. A lot of companies also provide training on the job. So that would usually include some sort of a knowledge check. So for example, if you were going through a training module on one particular subject, perhaps throughout the course or the module, there would be some knowledge checks there. The other thing is you can do job observations on people. So you actually take a look at the person when they're in the role and have them perform a certain task and then observe the way that they do that.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it too. And I think especially looking at what they've done in the past is a really great indicator of how they're going to perform in the future, right? So that's also a really great measure. And I think that's awesome. And at Cooper, what are some kind of ways that, we measure competency and evaluate that in our employees?
Yeah, so we would do that also probably in all of those ways. So it would start with taking a candidate who has applied for a role and looking at their past history when it comes to work and their training and education, and making sure that it aligns with the skills and competencies that we're looking for. And then moving on into the interview process, that's a good way to sort of have a conversation back and forth and really get a bit of a deeper dive into that sort of stuff. We also do provide our own on-the-job training, and it does include knowledge checks. And that just helps us make sure that they understand the information and that also they retain it.
Yeah.
And then we actually have just recently introduced a new program that we're pretty excited about, the Cooper Mentorship Program. And so for that, what we are doing is pairing up a more experienced worker with someone who may not have as much experience in the workplace or in the actual role that they're going to be doing. And it just allows a partnership between the two of them. So it's a safe place for somebody to go and ask questions when maybe they might not be that comfortable asking questions to their manager. It allows them to draw from the experience of the mentor. And the mentor actually works with them and performs competency checks. So basically they would observe them doing the role and various tasks within the role, and then they would evaluate them based on that. So it's a good learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to determine where the challenges might be in a role. Also to demonstrate anything that's different at Cooper that we might do from somewhere else that they may have worked.
Yeah, that's great. I think the mentorship program especially is really cool, and it kind of gives that employee, like you said, a safe space to go and talk to someone and address their questions, and they don't have to feel embarrassed or anything. They know that that person is there for them and is going to be there to help them. So I think that it'll make people a lot more comfortable and make them a lot more competent, because they're not going to feel scared. They're going to know that there's someone there to be there for them and have their back.
For sure. It's a way that we can set them up for success.
Yeah.
And also, we know in the safety industry that new and young workers are a lot more vulnerable when it comes to incidents happening and injuries. Mm-hmm. So it's just that little bit of extra support so that we can make sure that we're mitigating any risks and really more closely monitoring when they first start, as opposed to, when they've been in the role for a little bit longer and are a bit more comfortable and have a little bit more experience.
Yeah. And are there any ways that you track it once, past the beginning stage, once they're fully in the role going forward? Are there certain checks?
Yeah. So we have checkpoints in place. There are regular competency checks that happen between the mentor and the mentee, as well as involvement from the branch manager, just to give that extra little bit of guidance. And then the program is set to run for 6 months. And then at the end of the program, we do an evaluation of the past 6 months. And that makes the determination of whether we feel that the person is ready to graduate from the program or if they need a little bit more time in the program.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to answer some of our questions and kind of talk more about the whole theme of competency and taking part in Safety Month. So thank you so much, Jen, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Great. Thanks for the opportunity, and you too.